So let's have a little look at sequence of events. And I apologise, the size of the screen doesn't do justice to the amount of detail I've got on some of these slides. So if you're straining, you may be able to look at this at a later stage by downloading it from the internet or getting a printout from someone. There are some prophecies. So when I've tried to look at these prophecies regarding the regathering of Israel, there's some things that make it really clear that it's going to happen before. But then there's other parts that go, well, that's got to happen at the end. And what I've found with prophecy is there's things that have multiple fulfillments. So there are some prophecies which appear to have multiple fulfillments. For example, the blood moons appear in the sixth seal of Revelation, as does the kingdom coming. So we've got blood moons right now. I don't believe this is the sixth seal right now. Yeah. Not unless it's one of those seals that balance the bulls on their noses or something like that. But I don't think that we're in that period right now. But we're in something like it. So we've got blood moons going on, so we've got some judgment coming, and we've got some outpouring of the Spirit that's already occurred to some degree, and hopefully we'll have some more. Thank you. We're going to have some judgment. Please give us some mercy. But Ezekiel 39:29 tells us that the outpouring occurs after the Gog invasion, after Israel is at peace. So this is what I'm grappling with. I'm seeing blood moons, and I'm going, okay, where else do blood moons occur? They occur in the book of Revelation, in the sixth seal. Great. But then I see in Ezekiel 39:29, the outpouring of the Spirit occurs after the Gog-Magog invasion. But they're burying the dead for 7 years. And marking, and they're building a city called Hamon Gog and marking where the graves of these people. That can't happen during the tribulation because you're not in normal times. So there seems to be a dual fulfillment, or there is some happening twice. There's two regatherings, if you like. There's one before the tribulation, then there's trouble. And then Israel is scattered a bit, and he gathers them in a second time. And then, so the way I've put it together is God is at the very least going to establish David's Davidic line when the house of Israel and Judah come back to the land. At a later stage, he's going to restore David himself after perhaps a second regathering after the tribulation. And that may, that may upset some people because you go, well, there's a few things to happen. All right, here's another example of multiple fulfillments. First, the kingdom is local to Israel before the tribulation. Oh, we've talked about this before. And it becomes global at Messiah's coming in Revelation 11:15. No, I've already talked about that. So the kingdom comes in a small fulfillment locally, excuse me, but then it comes in a much greater fulfillment when Yeshua returns. So this is perhaps something that people don't understand, is there's a local kingdom of God coming to Israel, and then a global kingdom of God coming at the second coming of Messiah. There's a local regathering. There's the kingdom when Israel and Judah return to the land before the tribulation. The kingdom of God comes to Israel because the actual David's fallen tabernacle, the kingly line is actually reinstituted. They've got somebody that reigns over Israel. It says that they shall come to the land, they shall come to Jezreel. Great will be the day of Jezreel, and they will appoint themselves one head. Maybe that's a descendant of David. It must be. You can't have a Levite leading. When the priests did the priestly work, they did well. But when they started to be kings, they got a bit ruthless. So they need to stick with their job in the temple of cutting meat, because if they don't have the mercy that is required to be a king. And David's line has that quality as well as judgment. They have the mercy as well as judgment. So let's have a look at the third instance here. We have Gog appearing twice in the Bible, as far as I understand. We have it in Ezekiel 38. We have the Gog invasion. But we have another Gog invasion at the end of the 1,000-year millennial reign. Gog comes down. It's not the same time because the events are different. In the first Gog-Magog invasion, they come into the land of Israel, to the mountains of Israel, and God gets furious and he sends down fire and destroys them. He doesn't destroy the whole earth. But in the Gog-Magog invasion in Revelation, at the end of the millennial reign, fire comes down out of heaven and destroys the earth. And the heavens are rolled up. It's a different Gog-Magog invasion, same Gog. So who is Gog? I was talking to someone before about the Gog-Magog invasion in Iran and all of this sort of thing. From my understanding, Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, is a satanic prince. And he's actually bringing people from perhaps Russia, the North Country, in. But he himself is not human. So we may come to a time period when the Israelites return to the land that we're seeing very supernatural things starting to occur. As Israel returns to land, we start to move into the supernatural. As it was back in the Exodus and the return to the land, what were they coming across in the land? Giants. Supernatural sort of stuff. We're going to see that again when Israel returns to the land. And that's when you get to the book of Revelation, there's all sorts of supernatural stuff openly happening. We're not there yet, but we're moving in that direction. So again, there is multiple fulfillments of Gog. There is a regathering, and there's a second regathering. It says a second time will I regather you from, Pathros, I can't remember the names, all these Mediterranean places. I don't believe that the lost tribes are primarily in the Mediterranean at the moment. I think they're primarily here in America and the ends of the earth. So that's another thing. So this is what can make some of this stuff hard to grapple with, and just where does it fit in. As we're getting closer, though, we're starting to get a little bit more knowledge. And I dare say we'll be able to fine-tune things even more so. This is another thing that appears to be the case. Not all the chaff and tears are burnt up at the same time. There is a progression. For example, Edom cannot be destroyed during the Davidic kingdom because Amos... This may be just going off the top of your head. So you might, if you start to glaze over. But essentially, if Edom comes back to the land with us, he's not burnt up because he's a remnant of Edom. But later on, all Edom is burnt up, isn't it, in Obadiah? There's the rest of the chaff. So we're going to see some burning off when we leave America. But we might not. That's not the end of the burning off. There's a bit more later on. So it's going to be a process. And then we're going to move from wheat to grapes and figs and other fruit. If you look, if God has been gathering in the wheat for the last 2,000 years, there's going to be another crop of righteous souls that are more related to figs. And there's going to be very good figs and very bad figs. I've got a timeline, and we've seen it briefly before, and I've got that in there. I've already spoken about Edom, how there's going to be a remnant of Edom that returns with us, but later on their descendants will go astray, and then the Lord will destroy that generation of Edom because they've gone all bad. The Lord knows those that are His, so He's going to look after whoever we are, whether we're from Esau, Jacob, or Timbuktu, And but when Edom is finally destroyed, it says the kingdom shall be the Lord's. So that can't be just a local kingdom. That must be the kingdom over all the earth. So that's a pretty big deal. Both Israel and Judah are reunited after the Pentecostal harvest is over. This is the first regathering. Let's look at the scriptures and see if we can discern some sort of order to which these prophecies will be fulfilled. And again, this is my take on it. I'm not saying, "Thus saith the Lord," but I put it to you that perhaps there's some things going to occur shortly that aren't in the book of Revelation, but are in the Old Testament. And it's related to our regathering and we've got to get out of here and we've got to get to the Middle East at some stage. Let's look at the prophecies concerning David and his descendants. This is important for those who want to understand where events are heading in the immediate future.